You ready to do this, Stu?
I am ready, Spencer. Punch it, Chewie.
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot is Stu Jones.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
We're two nerds that just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode number 77. We release every Thursday morning. You can find us on our website, fortofnerd.com. We have links to iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, and everywhere podcasts are available. Stop by, relax a while. If you like what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button and get us automatically each and every week in your ear holes. Stu, welcome back from Portland, my friend. How are you?
I'm great. I'm not in Portland. That's 3 times in 1 week, man. That's crazy.
That's a lot.
That's way too much. But no, I'm doing fantastic.
So let me ask you this one random question, because I think of these things.
I'll have a random answer.
Do you have like a corporate card that you charge for all your airfare? Does someone set it up for you? Or do you get to charge it to a card and then they reimburse you?
I walk.
You can walk directly to Portland? That's amazing.
3 times in 1 week. No, I've got a company card. That's when I knew I had officially grown up.
See, I would think with all that travel, you would want it so it's your card and they reimburse you for the airline miles.
I actually tie my airline miles to it just fine.
Really?
Yep, I do. I'm actually taking a vacation in July that half of it was paid for with the miles that I've earned.
How about that?
I will say that Delta's reward program sucks. And I'll be, now that I've actually purchased the vacation ticket, I will be moving over to Alaska. But I have the option. I choose who I travel with, as long as it's within reason for the client. So yeah, I've got some pretty good control over that, and I get to reap the rewards.
Nice. So now, when you do these trips, like how much like advance warning do you have? Like, hey, I need to go to Portland.
Oh man, there are times where. So I run 4 projects for the client that we have up there. One of them just had a kickoff last week, which was trip number 1. We knew that was coming up for about a month and a half, and we had booked all the travel up there. So, obviously the better we can do with that, the more money we save for the client or for our business if it's not client related. But then trip number 3 was, the day before.
Yeah, so I would imagine like that costs the client more money than like the one you schedule out 6 weeks in advance.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The worst is when, so to save money, we buy non-refundable tickets. So there was like the week before I had to actually extend my stay. We had one visit that was for a couple days, and then another visit came up, and it just made more sense for me to extend it a day. But that flight, just the extension itself was like $250. It was crazy, but wow. Yeah, that's on them and they know it. So, we report everything. They're fully aware of what we bill and what we bill it for. But yeah, it gets. I've mentioned a few times that they should just rent me an apartment up there.
Yeah.
So, and they said, yeah, sure. There are a couple homeless tents that are over on the side.
We got a tent city in the backyard.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we have that kind of banter with the client. Boo-hoo.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just curious because I've been looking at flights lately from here in Salt Lake to Nashville. Some good friends of our podcast, Married to the Games, they've got their big celebration for their 300th episode that's happening in literally a few weeks. And I've been watching flight prices from here to Nashville, and for the last few months, and they have not dropped. They have not gone down. They're almost double the price they were 2 years ago when I went out there. And it's making it real hard to try to justify going out for like a 2-day weekend for a podcast celebration.
Yeah.
When it's that expensive.
I would say they're probably going to go up again before too long with, petroleum costs going up. And
yeah.
It's tough, man.
The sad thing is, like, there's no... Like, Nashville to Salt Lake is not like a big major, fly route, airway. So... Like if I went to Chicago, I can get dirt cheap tickets to Chicago. But it's like 3 times more expensive to go to Nashville. Anyway. So just curious, I've been on Watchdog, Air Flights, all this good stuff, and Google Flights, and Southwest, and Frontier, and Alaska, and trying to find me a good prices. And
I would love it if I could use Southwest, but oddly enough, no direct flight from Salt Lake to Portland with Southwest.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. Delta will go back and forth all day long.
Yeah, where would Southwest take you? Like to Phoenix first, then to Portland, probably?
San Diego.
San Diego?
Phoenix is the other direction.
Well, I know this. 2 years ago when I flew to Nashville, I flew from Salt Lake to L.A.
Oh, yeah.
Then
that's
from L.A.
Yeah.
I was like, what? You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's like San Jose or San Diego.
Yeah. All right, so you're back from Portland. What else is new? What's going on?
I have been... so I've mentioned a couple times that I'm playing EverQuest. Was actually ended up getting into a guild like you do, and ended up making a friend there. But she actually loves EverQuest 2 for the same reasons that I do, which different game, whole different podcast to explain it. But anyway, so we kind of jumped on over to EverQuest 2, and it's just a beautiful, gorgeous game, and there's so much content involved, and we're just kind of running through the paces with that. So anytime I've got a chance to play a game, she's all for joining in, and we've been kind of tearing that up. And she's supposed to be listening to the podcast by the time this drops. So Boya, hi. Give me all your fat loots.
What's up, girl? How you doing? Speaking of gaming, I played more God of War this last weekend.
Oh, good for you, man. I know you were wanting to get back at that.
I know. It's my world's been crazy, and I ended up getting in. Of all days, on Mother's Day, I got some time into God of War. So my wife wanted to watch her television show upstairs.
She wanted you to leave her alone for the day.
Yes, gotcha. Exactly right. I got the boys on the iPads for a little while, and so I got to sit down and play a little bit. Loving that game. It's just a ton of fun right now. But
yeah, if I ever come up for air from all the MMOs, I took a really long break from MMOs. I'm glad to be back into it. I'm enjoying it. I've got VR. Haven't really touched that for a couple weeks. Really loving that. But God of War is definitely on my when I leave the online worlds first on my list to hit it.
Yeah. Let's see. So my weekend.
How did you use the potbelly cooker this week?
The pit barrel cooker, potbelly cooker. I got this really big guy to stand there. I put some meat in his tummy and just let it cook for a while.
Hey, I could do that.
Yeah, so I didn't actually use the pit barrel cooker this weekend. I know it was rainy and kind of nasty most of the weekend, but on Sunday, with it being Mother's Day, the boys wanted to do some stuff for their mom, and so they wanted to make chocolate-covered strawberries, which we did last year for Mother's Day, and so they wanted to do that again. So earlier in the week, we went out and got supplies, and we made that happen, and of course, we had a ton of extra chocolate, so we made a bunch of graham crackers dipped in chocolate, and then we made a spaghetti dinner with meatballs, because we hadn't had spaghetti and meatballs in forever for some reason, and a little bit of French bread, and just made it kind of a nice dinner, and just kind of let Brita have some time to herself to do whatever she wanted to do, and try to keep the kids from being under her feet all day long.
It's the, oh my God, I don't want to be a Mother's Day. Yeah,
kind of. I mean, it's just that let's celebrate me by giving me a break. Every other day I've got to deal with everything. So
yep.
So that was Sunday. Saturday, I had my motorcycle club meeting. I have that once a month. And of course, this is a big kind of stressful time of the year for me, because we put on a big charity ride at the end of May. It's the Saturday before Memorial Day. It's called the Fallen Patriot Ride.
Yep.
And we put on this charity ride. We raise money for the Warriors for Freedom Foundation. They basically support veterans with PTSD, and the money that we raise, they use to try to help veterans that are in need. In previous years, money we've raised, they did this big fly fishing thing, and if the veterans, took to it, and if they really liked it, they would give them the rod and reel that they got to use that day as a way to kind of get them out and doing something to kind of help deal with their issues. Right. And so I typically don't pimp out my motorcycle club and pimp out the ride on the podcast, except when we get right here before the FPR. So if you listen to the Fortress of Nerditude and you are in the area of Salt Lake, which I know is not going to be all of our listeners, all of our super friends, of course, but if you are, it's the Saturday before Memorial Day. You can go to fallenpatriotride.com and you can register and you can come ride. It doesn't matter what kind of bike you have. It can be a sport bike. It can be a street bike. It doesn't matter.
Can it be an electric bike that doesn't have much range?
That'd be a little hard, only because they do get on the freeway for a little bit. And they go to the Veterans Memorial Cemetery. Here's the thing, though. Super friends, if you don't ride, or you ride, but you're like like Johnny Casino. Like I know our good friend Johnny Casino has been on the podcast a number of times. He rides, but he lives in Texas. There is a donate button on our website, fallenpatriotride.com. You could go and click, and you could donate whatever you want to go towards the charity. And I know that they'd really appreciate that. So,
well, as a veteran, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome stuff.
It's something that our club and myself, we personally feel. It's something that we love to do, and we love to support those that have, honored us and, given time to serve our country. And for those that have, paid the ultimate price, that's a little something we can do to give back. So, other than that, there is one sad note that I will bring up in kind of my weekly update. So obviously, this podcast is called The Fortress of Nerditude. It's a big kind of, rip on the Fortress of Solitude. That's the homage there. And I'm a huge Superman nerd. I love Superman. I'm wearing my Superman t-shirt, obviously, tonight.
You wear that every day.
Well, that's true, but we don't talk about that.
Whoops.
Margot Kidder, who played Lois Lane in the 4 Superman movies that Christopher Reeve did, Superman 1, 2, 3, and 4, Quest for Peace, she passed away on Sunday, which was Mother's Day. And she was 69 years old, and really, really sad to hear that she's, no longer with us. From everything I heard, she was not only a wonderful person on screen, but she was a kind, caring, giving human in real life, and the type of person that you wish you could have had a chance to get to know. And so our thoughts and prayers go out to her friends and family at this time, and we're sad that she's no longer with us.
That sucks. Because she's like, there are people that play the roles later on and do just fine. Like, you don't think of,
Amy Adams.
Yeah. I want to say something and then draw a blank on what I want to say. Awesome, perfect. But she was the benchmark, right? So Christopher Reeves was the benchmark for Superman. Margot Kidder was the benchmark for Lois Lane.
Yeah. So unfortunately, my Superman and my Lois Lane are no longer with us. But
my Superman is. I don't know about the Lois Lane, but
yeah.
Oh well.
So anyway, that's kind of what I had in my good old weekly roundup. Did you have anything else you wanted to get to and chat at and talk about?
Chocolate. No, I just can't stop thinking about chocolate. So thanks for that, but otherwise, no. That's been my week is Portland and EverQuest 2.
I can ask Brita. You can come over here and have one of those chocolate-covered strawberries. I just got to get permission because they're hers.
Yeah, I just gave them away. They were a podcast giveaway. I'm sure she's all for it.
Stu just swung by. I don't know how he found out we had them, but he knew.
I can smell out chocolate.
Yes. All right. Well, let's get to some Rebel Intelligence then. I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
All right, Stu, we're into Rebel Intelligence. You know what? I'm going to kick us off this week. Usually I let the guest co-host, but you're no longer a guest co-host, so I'm going to go. I'm going to be selfish.
First I have to help pay your rent, and now I have to give up the first Rebel Intelligence?
Yeah, pretty much, man. I'm kind of a jerk. I'm kind of like that. So this last week, there was... Well, let's go back. Last week, we talked about and we'll get to it in our question of the week. We talked about like IPs, television shows or movies, things that have kind of been canceled, maybe brought back.
Is Firefly back?
Oh, I wish.
Okay, then I don't want to talk anymore.
If Firefly had come back, I don't even think we would have started with our weekly roundup. We would have gone right to that. We would have done the whole Sidekick podcast just on Firefly.
Spontaneous Sidekick.
Yes. But what's really interesting is that we talked about, these things have died. Well, the TV shows are kind of doing their upfronts, and we find out which shows are being canceled, which shows are being, renewed. And there were some interesting developments this weekend. So ABC last year dropped the show Last Man Standing. Last Man Standing's a comedy. It's a half-hour comedy. It was on ABC. It was politically right-leaning, and it averaged about 8 million viewers an episode, which is really kind of good numbers for a half-hour comedy.
I think that's the number we should try to reach.
Yes, please. But it was canceled by ABC. There was a lot of speculation that it was politically motivated, that it was dropped, even though ABC said, well, we had our reasons, and they wanted more money, and there was reasons given. But it all sounded a little wishy-washy. Interesting enough, Fox picked up Last Man Standing and is bringing Last Man Standing back this upcoming season. So they're going to be filming their 7th season, going into their 7th season, now on Fox, coming this next fall.
Do you think Fox listened to the podcast last week and was like, we should do that?
Yes.
Do you think we're making that kind of difference?
Rupert Murdoch, yes, listens to the podcast, and he was like, those Fortress of Nerditude boys really know what they're talking about.
Well, you can always trust a bald guy with a goatee.
That's right. So it's interesting because this show's been off the air for about a year now, and it's going to come back. And let's be honest, coming back with all the original cast and getting everyone to do it for a 7th season, and the fact that they were averaging 8 million views an episode, and that was on ABC, and Fox tends to be, with Fox News and whatnot, a little more politically right-leaning, so I wonder if they're going to bring in a lot of viewers that maybe didn't watch them on ABC, or if the viewers from ABC are going to follow. I mean, we don't really know how any of that's going to shake out yet, because it's, we'll find out this fall, but that happened, okay? So big news, right? A lot of people, enough. I'm sure, real happy. However, Fox canceled Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is like an hour-long, serialized comedy about, police station, about cops in a police station. It's, Andy Samberg, and it's got, Tiny Lister and, a bunch of others. And I've heard from my brother, I've heard from lots of people that this show is fan-freaking-tastic. It's great. However, here's the interesting thing. For as much hype as I hear, and as soon as it was announced that it was canceled, Twitter exploded. People went crazy saying, how could they cancel Brooklyn Nine-Nine and bring back Last Man Standing, blah, 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 blah. And people were, losing it. The interesting thing is, Brooklyn Nine-Nine only averages 3 million viewers an episode, which typically is kind of that's about the bubble number. That's kind of right, that magic number, it feels like, in TV, where a little less, you're usually done. A little more, you might still be able to kind of keep things going. But it also depends on sponsors. It depends on scheduling. And so Fox said that basically they're trying to promote some other shows, and with the football, that they couldn't really find a way to schedule it in. And so they dropped it. And then here's the thing. Less than a day later, NBC picks up Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So now Brooklyn Nine-Nine is going to go over to NBC for a 6th season. And, Twitter and everyone on the internet rejoiced because their show's going to continue.
So we just had a great big old comedy shuffle.
Basically, that's what we had. ABC dropped one, and Fox picked it up. Then Fox canceled one, and NBC picked it up. And it was interesting because we were just kind of talking about this last week and saying, you know, it doesn't happen all that often, but occasionally it does. And then like days later, like we get a big old swapperoo that happens.
And Fox is right in the middle of the shuffle.
Yes, which is always curious because Fox seems to be the one that abandons the cult favorite, the fan favorite shows, it seems like. I'm sure others do it as well, but they seem to be the one. I mean, Firefly, Arrested Development, just saying.
Yeah, but I think this could be a good move for Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's kind of up NBC's alley with everything that kind of quarterbacks off of, you know, Saturday Night Live.
Yep.
And then you've, you know, the other comedy shows that they've had, Brooklyn Nine-Nine seems to kind of fit there, I think.
I say this, I've never seen this show, but to me, with the cast that it has, it feels like this would be like right up the alley of like if you loved 30 Rock or if you loved Parks and Rec, you know, that kind of feel. So anyway, big old swapperoo in TV land that we should have predicted, but we
did. We did predict it.
Sort of, yes.
Totally us, all us.
Yes, it was us. Thank you. You're welcome, Internet.
Yeah, that's right. That's the impact we have here on the Fortress of Nerditude. Don't you forget it. So, kind of going back to an even earlier episode, that Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes that we were talking about, where they were doing some of the podcasts, we're taking some material from that. I did incorrectly cite it as a campaign. It's not so much a campaign as a lore source and monster source. So there are some stories in there associated with the monsters. Not entirely wrong, but I did misspeak, so nobody lynched me. I'm okay. Anyway, that there's a big component of that to some of the, I guess, one of the earlier deities and demigods from first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons had a lot of really in-depth lore about the gods of the cosmos, and specifically some of this stuff kind of ties back to that for me, I think, just that they were really kind of dark with some of them. Okay. So anyway, they've got some devils and some cults and some of the really evil bent of all the pantheons that are there. I mean, like, D&D is pretty famous for people that are, especially among DMs, for the support that they have for, it's not like one world, one set of gods. You can kind of adopt, you know, whatever mythos you want to have in your campaign, or you can use the ones that are in pre-built campaigns, or mix and match, whatever you want. But yeah, so anyway, just looking through this Mordenkainen's tome here, some really, really evil stuff. Cult of Asmodeus, Cult of Beelzebub. These things were actually taken out of the original deities and demigods. They had a first edition of it that had those things in, and then they took some of them out because they were met with resistance.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this is like the late 70s, early 80s. You got a lot of, you know, them Bible thumping old ladies that don't want their little kids getting into, you know, devil worship. Or so I've been told.
Yeah, my grandma burned all my D&D books from all that. Seriously. So yeah, I'm familiar with that. But yeah, so they're bringing some of that back.
You'll never amount to anything if you read these books.
Yeah, well, she broke her hip. Anyway. So,
you know, so what's really interesting about this is, like, I've been reading through the DM guide, and I just spent maybe an hour kind of reading through like the pantheon of all the deities, and like, you know, like trying to understand, like, you know, how you can have, you know, how the worlds of D&D will have, you know, deities or monotheistic deities or duality deities. And so, like, all I'm hearing from you right now is that I have something else that I have to read. That's all I'm hearing.
You'll enjoy reading it?
Am I wrong?
I haven't even given you the Elemental Evil source book yet.
I know.
But that's the thing, is if you're enjoying it, then those are things that you're going to want to read. If you're not enjoying reading them, then that's kind of a tell. That's kind of exactly why I'm not DMing. It's not so much that I don't want to build worlds and, you know, kind of be the guy in charge, but all the research that you do into it, that's more time than I really can commit to. And the last time I tried, it suffered.
See, I'm really enjoying reading it. However, it's one of those things where like I'm reading it, so I'm trying to get a good base knowledge, understanding that the first campaign we run is going to be kind of a pre-made campaign.
Yeah.
But I have an idea of a world I want to craft a D&D campaign in. And so I've been talking to a buddy and trying to figure out how to adapt it into it. It's from a book series that I love. So
Are we playing Wheel of Time?
No,
because they have their own system, man.
No, but that would actually be kind of cool. It's actually, I want to do something based on the Stormlight Archive.
Oh.
So, anyway.
If we did Wheel of Time, I'd have to play a female character because I likes the magic.
Well, that and, the females are like the strongest characters pretty much throughout that series for the most part.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I'm not opposed.
Okay, well, good. Okay, so here's something interesting. You know how we've talked in the past that usually when a movie's coming out, especially the big movies, if they hold back the reviews and they keep the embargo on to like the last possible
good
moment,
old embargo. Yeah.
That's not that's usually not a good sign. Well, here's the thing. The embargo for Solo, a Star Wars movie, releases tomorrow. So it'll actually be, when you listen to this podcast, Super Friends, it'll be 2 days ago. But when we're recording, it'll be tomorrow, which is 10 full days before the movie releases. And there's been some Twitter buzz that's already starting to leak out. And the interesting thing is, from what I'm seeing on Twitter, is that most people are actually pretty positive about the movie. Basically, people are saying, like what you would expect. They said basically Donald Glover shows up on screen as Lando, and like he steals the show, and the interaction between Chewbacca and Han is really good. A lot of people said that it took a good half hour, 40 minutes of the movie to kind of get over the fact that this isn't Harrison Ford. But once your brain kind of makes that switch, you're like, okay, this is just Han Solo, and you get over the Harrison Ford thing, then you don't really notice it. I mean, that's,
I don't know, man.
That's the Twitter buzz that I'm hearing.
Is this a select group of people that they already knew were going to love the movie? Or, because, I mean...
don't know. I don't know, but a few have said that they felt like the first act of the movie was a little slow in the pacing, but then it really picks up, which, I mean, let's be honest, most Star Wars movies are kind of that way. The first act usually feels a little slower and has pacing issues for the most part, not all of them, but go back to the first one, Star Wars A New Hope. Like, the first part of that's not, I mean, you got droids walking around in the desert.
Yeah, that whole trilogy kind of did take that route.
Yeah, but then it picks up. It picks up towards the end of each film in the second act usually, or the third act.
But The Force Awakens, I mean, heck no. The screen goes dark. You get the klaxon going. You get the soundtrack going. Oh my god, that movie started off so perfect. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know. I can't see him. I just can't see him as Solo. It's going to be ironic to think that I may actually enjoy the movie for everything except the title character and the namesake of the show. Yeah,
it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be one of those things where my expectations are really, really low, so I'm hoping that I'm going to be pleasantly surprised. I'm hoping it's going to have a Rogue One reaction. I wasn't expecting much of Rogue One when I went in. Like, the trailer looked pretty banging, but like I was like, I don't really know what to expect, and then I came when I loved Rogue One. So I'm hoping for
I knew
that.
I was going to love Rogue One from the first trailer. And the ironic thing is that they actually, after the first trailer dropped, they had actually cut out and
a lot of the stuff.
Quite a bit. So it wasn't as dark as I was hoping it was going to be, but despite that, I still loved it. I wanted it to be the gritty, nasty, dirty war story in Star Wars, and it still ended up pulling that off. A little bit lighter touch, but still worked really well.
Well, I also found out that the director of that, Gareth Edwards, he would shoot things, like he would have like an hour a day where he would just shoot stuff that they would come up with, or something that would like an idea that would strike them, and they would shoot it. And one of those scenes was when you see Jyn Erso in that kind of tunnel that kind of is like lighting up and it's going like boom, 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 and like progressively lighting up, and then you see her, and it was like one of the big prominent shots of that trailer. That was just something that they kind of liked visually, the look of. It didn't really have anything to do with the movie, but then the marketing department loved it for the trailer, and that's the reason why it was in the trailer.
Yeah, well, there was still a good amount of content that was cut too from the original.
Yeah.
They completely rewrote several parts of that, which makes me sad to think about what it could have been, but I did like what we got delivered. So,
are you one of those Zack Snyder Justice League guys?
You watch your mouth.
All right.
No, I'm not.
Anyway, we'll have to see. Like, I hope.
Well,
I'm
we're going to
pleasantly
talk about it. Fortunately, we don't have to even put a spoiler warning on that show because it'll be, hey, spoiler, Kessel Run 12 parsecs.
Right. Yeah. Dang it! I thought it was 13.
You and everybody else.
All right. What else you got for us?
Oh, I should keep... So embargoes. Let's talk a little bit about another movie that I'm actually a little bit more excited for that you may have heard of called Deadpool Tool. I'm renaming it Tool.
Deadpool Tool.
A lot of people are loving it. Some really good reactions. A lot of people actually saying that they liked it as much as or better than the first, that it kind of keeps the comedy without sacrificing it and solves some of the pacing problems of the first movie. I didn't find any pacing problems with the first movie, but a few people did, so good for them, I guess. But even more than that is there's kind of just as much buzz about the post-credits scene. So...
Please tell me it's Wolverine. Please tell me it's Wolverine.
And... Oh, see, I almost spoiled Infinity War. We can't spoil Infinity War yet, can we?
I mean, we did, but we probably should, not in general terms yet.
Anyway, I hope they take a great big stab at Infinity War in that.
Yeah, that'd be good. When are you going to go see Deadpool Tool? I'm going to call it now that, too.
Good job, Rabbit. Oh, gosh, when does it come out here? It's like,
Friday night?
This Friday?
Isn't it? I think it's this weekend.
Oh, is it really already? I don't know. I'm gonna see it probably the Sunday morning that it comes out. Sunday morning. Yeah, that's my favorite time to see movies.
Yeah, I'm really trying to decide when I want to go see it because I do enjoy like that feel like of an opening night, but I don't really like staying up late on opening night.
So. I don't like staying up at all.
I'm old. Leave me alone, Mr. Fredrickson. Man, can I help you cross something? Anyway, my kid's been watching Up the last few days.
That was a good movie. I liked it. I enjoyed it probably as much as my daughter did, but don't tell her.
I enjoy it more now than I did when it first came out. When I first came out, I had some friends that said, this movie is life-changing. You have to go see it. And they set the bar so dang high, and I came out and I was like, it was okay.
There's no such thing as a life-changing...
I was like, it wasn't life-changing. I'm like, I'm not going to live my life any different after seeing a Pixar movie.
I'm going to live my life. Let's see. So I'm looking at show times. There's a 1 o'clock at my theater on Sunday. I might go hit that.
Is that this weekend? Is it this weekend?
That is this weekend, yep.
That is this weekend. All right, let's keep in touch because I'm going to go see this thing as well, so...
Well, hey, we could talk about the show notes and stuff then, too. We could work on the show in the movie and not make anybody mad.
No one's going to kill us with a katana. No. Speaking of katanas, how you like that, right?
Yeah, it's like they just weave into each other.
There's a katana-wielding Bad A that's going to be getting a movie.
A Bad A? You watch your Utah swears.
Yeah, I know. Can you take a guess as to which katana-wielding Bad A is going to get a movie?
Well, we already know Deadpool 2, so...
Deadpool Tool, yeah.
Deadpool Tool, right. I'm trying to think of all the people that I know of that have katanas, so swords. All I can really think about is, what's a Snake Eyes?
Ooh, look at you. Yes, so this is interesting. I loved G.I. Joe as a kid. Loved G.I. Joe as a kid.
Well, because you're downright American.
That's right. I got to beat those commies. I mean, Destro and Cobra. But the interesting thing was they made those movies, The Rise of Cobra and Retaliation, and those movies,
I liked them.
I mean, the first one, Rise of Cobra, I didn't care for as much. Retaliation, I thought was a little bit better. But anyway, there's a planned another G.I. Joe movie that's in the works. However, now they're talking about doing a solo spin-off movie just on Snake Eyes. And if you remember, Snake Eyes is the ninja that's all clad in black, that's got the katanas, and he's got a a brother that wears all white that fights for Cobra Commander and Cobra, and they Storm Shadow, and so like there's this whole brother against brother kind of thing. It's the civil war of G.I. Joe, I guess. Anyway, we don't know a lot about it, but apparently there's a script and they're gonna make a Snake Eyes movie.
So if they're gonna, how can you?
Here's my thing: have these movies been big enough to do a spin-off? I mean, like, we had X-Men movies, like X-Men 1, 2, and 3, right? We're all pretty popular, made quite a bit of money. And then we got X-Men Origins Wolverine. And it was supposed to be a spin-off movie just for Wolverine. And that movie wasn't that great. But
yeah, I don't know that it's just
then
because
we had
it was
another
a spin-off,
Wolverine
though.
spin-off. And then another Wolverine spin-off. I mean,
okay, but Logan was amazing.
Yes, it was. But it took 3 spin-off Wolverine movies to get to an amazing movie.
Yeah, and that has something to do with the fact that there were other characters, I think, involved as well.
Right.
That made that much more, and other characters specifically that made that much more enjoyable. So yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, and that was kind of where my thought was trailing off to, is how can you really do a G.I. Joe movie without other characters being there? I mean, I get that Snake Eyes is a badass. Whoop, there was a real...
No,
I'm
he's
an adult.
a bad A.
How I don't know. I just don't see that even working without other major characters, or I don't know. I'll see it because I do love me some G.I. Joe. I don't even know what to think about that, though.
Yeah, it's one of these things where I hear that and I'm like, if this were like a big tentpole franchise and these movies were making like $200-300 million a summer, every second or third summer, I'd say, sure, okay. But I mean, the last G.I. Joe movie came out how many years ago now? Probably the early 20 teens, like maybe 2011, 2012?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
It's been a while.
Well, I mean, movies like this can never work. I mean, this would be like, say, you take the Avengers and, Captain America gets his own movie. That would never work.
Right. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I'll see it. I'd movie pass it.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd sidekick it, but maybe movie club. I don't know.
Breeda's not going to see it, I promise.
Oh, you sure? We can't talk her into that? Okay, so...
Maybe.
So speaking of... See, this is the other one I would have thought of, and I wasn't even thinking at the time, but what do you think about the Resident Evil movies?
I've never seen them.
You've never seen any of them?
None of them.
Oh, man. So this is like, to me, the one example of a video game franchise that did it right with movies, at least the first couple. They did make it. They've made like 5 of them or so, and the last couple were kind of eh. But Mila Jovovich,
nice, very well done.
Thank you. I've been re-listening to the older shows. Anyway, I thought she was a perfectly bad A heroine there, killing zombies, doing it with style. But now they're coming out with a live-action Monster Hunter movie. Okay. Same director, Mila Jovovich, kicking some booty in that movie. They signed that up. Have you ever played any of the Monster Hunter games?
No. I mean, I've seen
some of them. They are
hard
freaking core. That's like, I've seen people play role-playing games for hundreds of hours at a time, especially online role-playing games.
Yeah.
But Monster Hunter games are like brutal. You have to really research in the game. You have to do a lot of in-game activities to build your character up. They are not for the faint of heart, and they haven't traditionally done well when they've tried to introduce them to the US market. But yeah, huge series. There is a new Monster Hunter game that came out that's apparently a little bit more accessible.
And it's been doing really big business here, too.
Yeah, but it's still like some of the fights are like hour-long fights with a single bad guy, and you like have to build yourself up just to be able to do that one fight. And I don't know, it's kind of...
I love that in video games, though.
Yeah, it's just I don't have the patience anymore for that kind of thing. I've been brought up in World of Warcraft now. I kill everything in one hit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so interesting timing.
Do you think this will be the video game movie to break the curse?
Well, I already said that I think that the Resident Evil didn't even apply to that curse. They did well. The first couple Resident Evil movies did really well, so...
maybe I'll have to go back and take a look at them, because I've never... Yeah, I've yet to see like that big breakout movie where it's like this movie like is universally big business loved, all that.
I wouldn't say it was a big breakout movie, but it definitely didn't suck, and it didn't demean the genre in any way. So I don't think this will be. I think this will be the movie for the people that loved Resident Evil movies. Maybe the tie-in for Monster Hunter. I don't see it being a AAA blockbuster, but I see it being enjoyable. So
okay.
We'll see. Plus, Mila.
So here's an interesting thing. Did you see the trailer for the new Predator movie?
I did. He said hesitantly.
Yeah. There was a big pregnant pause there, which we'll probably have to edit some of that out because, of course, dead air is awesome on a podcast.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I like the first Predator movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fan-freaking-tastic movie. I love it. Predator 2, okay, Danny Glover, it still wasn't bad. I mean, not as good as the first. And then you have like Aliens vs. Predators, and to me, it seemed like the Predator movies then started kind of going off into we're less about the suspense, we're less about the, making you grip on the edge of your seat. It's more about just like the action and the killing and whatnot. Whereas the first one, I mean, there's so much off-screen killing, and it just builds tension and suspense. So they're going to do a new Predator movie, and instead of being in the jungle, and instead of having Arnold, it's a film that's set in suburbia. It's got a bunch of like ex-Marine types, like ex-military types they're going to take it on.
Surprise!
And yeah, I mean, you got to. But it also has, what's her face?
Mila?
No, not Mila. Olivia Munn. Which I love Olivia Munn, but she's supposed to be some sort of like science teacher or something.
Hey, sorry, let's move on.
Yeah. Well, we know Stu's fantasy. Olivia Munn is a science teacher. So anyway, it's this like, I don't know. I mean, it's the whole thing was like they said like they're taking DNA from in the trailer. They're taking DNA from all these other races and they're getting stronger and better. It's like, wait a minute. The thing is called the Predator. Like their whole alien race like already is like they're like these amazing assassins and they can kill people.
They just now figured it out.
Why do we need to have them like going to Balco and getting roided up to like try to make this movie seem scarier? Like they already are killing machines. Why do we need to like hit that point so hard to be like, they're learning from others and taking DNA splicing and they're making stronger, crazy. I mean, they're killing machines. What else do you need to say?
Yeah. Well, so for me, the switch is like, if you think about what made Predator and maybe a little bit less so, but what made Predator and Predator 2 enjoyable was not, the Predators were not the main character of the story.
Right.
They were about the people that were hunting the predators and the suspense around them, and that's kind of what makes, horror films good, is you've got the people that you're invested in or the people making stupid mistakes and
getting tore to pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they switched to making the Predators the main story and telling you all about what the Predators are doing, like Predator versus Alien and Predators.
Yeah.
Like I hate that they did that, like Alien and Aliens. And that's exactly what they did with the Aliens, the whole splicing alien other species DNA. It's just this weird copycat.
That first Alien movie, though, like you don't see the alien, the xenomorph, until like the very, very end of the movie. And like that movie is freaking still intense years later.
Oh, there's a game. What is it? Alien Insurrection or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, super intense. And they're making a VR version for it.
Ooh.
I may not survive.
We'll have to film you playing that game.
We will not.
We'll get you a catheter and a colostomy bag. You'll be fine.
Well, I already have that. That's how I play MMOs in VR.
Nice. Nice.
I'm ready. But yeah, that trailer did not did not appeal to me in any way, shape, or form. Makes me sad.
Yeah, it didn't. I don't know. I'm not super excited about it, but hey, show me some more. Maybe you'll get me on board.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you. I don't know that I would even movie past that at this point, but
ooh, strong words. Them are fighting words in some circles. Not here, but other places.
Well, let's bring it on. I'll grab myself a little comet from Fortnite, and I'll get an infinity gauntlet, and I'll regenerate my shields to death.
Nice.
Oh, sorry, that's not the throwback I wanted to do. But we were talking about Fortnite when I first came on the show, and we talked about it a little bit last week that they did the whole, in-game Infinity War tie-in. But the first time we talked about Fortnite, one of the things that I was saying that I loved about it was the draw into all the people playing the game on Reddit and everything to kind of give them a mythos to become involved in with the game.
Yeah.
Destiny 2 incorporated a puzzle into their latest expansion that had some real-world implications. There was just a symbol that they put in the game. So people started to figure out that they kind of might have meant something. They found a couple other symbols in the game. They started deciphering these little codes and things like that. And it all kind of led to a real-world cache that was located in New York, that all these clues kind of pointed to the specific location to find it. And so the Reddit came together like they do, solved the heck out of that puzzle, and sure enough, at this location, there was a tube. And in this tube was a freaking spear.
Wow.
One of the weapons that they had that was available as a temporary use for some of the missions. It was a real world replica of that spear. Looks pretty freaking sweet. Also came with a box of gold coins, a set of notes, and a journal to record visitors. And the note in there, kind of to summarize, basically says, take one of the gold coins, please leave them for other people to come behind you. And also please put your name in this journal, and everyone who comes behind you should put their name in the journal. And
so like a little geocache, basically.
Yes. A geocache with the clues inside the video game.
So did the person that opened it up for the first time that got the spear, did they get to keep the spear and take it home?
The first person got the spear.
That's cool.
Yeah, with a big thank you note and everything from the lead designer of Destiny 2. That's ridiculous. That's how you get people to become emotionally invested in your game and your franchise. To kind of make it a part of their life in some way outside of the game means that's the first thing they're going to think of when they flip the power switch on.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I go back to my MMO days when I played World of Warcraft, and I would have friends that would be messaging me oh, we're going to go try to do this, and we're going to, we're trying to figure out this, and there'd be clues, and they'd be trying to figure out the best ways to take down a boss, right, or something in a raid. And so we'd end up having these conversations out of game about different strategies to do this or whatever, sure. Looking at clues, and that always seemed to be a much stronger hook than just jump in, you smash a couple guys and you get out.
I was just having a very similar conversation the other day with somebody about this I was kind of thinking about the strengths of each of the MMOs and what made them great. World of Warcraft is the king of accessibility, but I think they've sacrificed a lot in the name of accessibility. They kind of give you all the content right up front. There's no reason for you to do anything but log into the game and play. But way back when, you're talking about, even earlier than that, before we had mass gaming sites with EverQuest, it was difficult to find information that you could get from anybody, and it had to be from your friends, and you actually printed out maps, and you had to have them available because it wasn't in the game.
I found a notebook that I had from when I played World of Warcraft that I was writing down notes, trying to min-max out some different builds for my tank.
Right.
And I was wow. I was I mean, pages of notes. If I do this and then I run this dot, I can get more intimidation and pull more threat and like all these notes. I was like, wow. Well, now you plug that into a website and it tells you what the best build is.
You don't even have to do it in a website anymore with some of them. It's just you click a button in the game and it's got the guide right there. Boss strategies, all of it.
Yeah. But
you telling me about those notes there, you just you proved why you were the premier host of Fortress of Nerditude.
Yeah, I've got a few of those lying around somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, good. That's so cool. I'm glad that people got some gold coins and one lucky person got a spear.
Yeah. I wish I were more involved with any game like that. Now I'm going to have to get super involved with every game just in case. Just in case, yes. I could get a spear. Come on, guys. Oh, what was it? There was someone that had subscribed to World of Warcraft from the very first day and had an active account all the way up through their 10-year anniversary. And they got this like 3-foot tall statue of an orc. Whoa. From Blizzard. From Blizzard? Yeah. Wow, that's cool. Anyway. Good for them. Yeah. I digress. What else you got, Spencer? I'm tapped. Do you have anything else? Well, I've got one other thing just kind of came up. So you've got Captain Marvel, right? We know that's coming. If March of 2019. Yeah, so a little ways out, but so less than a year. That's wow. We're already in 2018, man. That's so cool. Anyway, there's I don't know if you're aware. I'm only vaguely aware. Ms. Marvel. Yeah, Miss Marvel. Miss or Ms. I think it's Miss. Miss. I think it's whatever. Ms. Let's talk about that for the next 5 minutes. Yes, exactly. Anyway, so Kamala Khan, being Ms. Marvel, a character inspired by Captain Marvel. I don't know. I guess some people may be curious where that may fit into things. So Mr. Feige says that there's room for her in the MCU. Okay. But use the phrase definitely sort of room for her in the universe. So definitely sort of. Huh. So what you're saying is this is a solid lead. So you're saying I have a chance. Right. So I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of interesting that they're thinking about the ancillary characters as well as kind of appealing to, more diversity. So, I mean, I guess that could be interesting. We'll see. It's not news of the year by any means to me, but just kind of worth noting since I'm all about MCU at the moment because I'm still riding the Infinity Wars high. Yeah. Or low, depending on how you look at it. Yeah, which half of that are you on? That's a question for another podcast, a spoilery podcast. I had no idea what you're talking about. That's all I got, though. Okay, well, good. Each week we ask you guys a question. Last week we were talking about things that obviously had gone away and then come back in the TV shows, and we kind of talked about that earlier. Yeah, you gotta stop eating that spicy pepperoni so late, Stu. That'll help. Never. But our question to you was, what IP, what intellectual property, TV, movie, video game, do you want to see brought back, and would you want to have it as like a reboot or a remake or keep it the same? And you sent us some answers, so we're going to read them. And we will start, as we always do, over at email, Peter Christensen. Dear Nerds, he says, not sure if there's a technical glitch, but I'd rather have you in both of my ear holes. Previously, I just said ear hole. Anyway. Thanks, Peter. Good old Peter. He says, the reason Netflix recut Arrested Development Season 4 was to get a bunch of talk and buzz before the release of Season 5 at the end of the month. Consider it a marketing expense. I think Netflix is fine with the original Season 4. It was the one of the very first shows they produced, and they obviously continued since then. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, we kind of talked about that. We thought, I'd buy that for $2, I guess. You'd buy that for $1? $2. Remember the old RoboCop? I'd buy that for $1. Anyway.
He says, I'd like to see Robotech brought back, but as a live-action show. The stories were both personal and global, the themes were mature, the tech was awesome, and the interweaving of multiple sagas across generations was so well done. The gender and racial equality in the show would stand out even today. They could reinterpret it, or do a shot-for-shot remake, as long as I get Veritex. Cheers, Peter Christensen.
I am Team Robotech.
I've never seen Robotech.
Oh, that was the jam. The cartoons were like in the midst of this sprawl of action-y cartoons where you had like Thundercats and He-Man and Transformers. Yeah, sure. Robotech was just deep and it was gritty and it had so much more substance than the other cartoons. And oh man, that's perfect. Huh. Well done.
Let's go over to Facebook. And let me just say, buckle up again.
Oh, we're talking Hulk, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
No, I read that. Yeah.
Yeah. Caleb Albert says, real quick. Real quick. He says, going back to the Hulk thing for a second, I will happily agree that Hulk has not gotten the best treatment from the MCU. I'm very happy with what I've gotten so far, but seeing the Hulk is still owned by Universal Studios, Marvel is very limited on what they can do. And yes, Iron Man, Thor, and Cap have a much more in-depth story, but being that they have 3 movies each between them, trying to compare the character arc of the characters is a little unfair. Fair enough. I'll concede that point to you. Not a problem. He says, even with the Hulk being one of the main heavy-hitting Avengers, he's getting the same treatment as the heroes that don't have a movie, Black Widow and Hawkeye. And yes, the Incredible Hulk movie is technically part of the MCU, but it doesn't feel like it, and I wish it wasn't. I wish Universal would let Marvel give Hulk the Spider-Man treatment, and let them give us a good movie to at least set up a possible replacement for him later down the line. I'd personally like to see a Hulk movie that introduces She-Hulk or Red Hulk, but that's just me. Getting to the question of the week.
Oh yeah, there's one of those.
I'd like to see Invader Zim, Rugrats, and Wacky Races back on TV. In way of video games, I want a new gen version of Marvel's Ultimate Alliance, Destroy All Humans, and a new original Pokemon game that plays like how we all imagine it should go. For movies, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I'd like to see a continued or something continued or redone. A lot of older movies that focus on the future had a certain charm about the way they were made that it would do the movies injustice to remake them. But some movies I think would be okay in today's time of reminiscing about the past. Would be if something, it would be an animated Jetsons movie. Think like the Peanuts, a live-action mocap Thundercats movie.
Yes.
A Tim Burton-style animated Courage the Cowardly Dog movie, and a live-action Kim Possible, Johnny Bravo, and Powerpuff Girls movie.
Those Girls.
Pretty great in my mind. Thank you, Caleb.
I'm probably about 90% of the way there with Caleb. There's like the Courage the Cowardly Dog, maybe, But Powerpuff Girls was like, that was some funny stuff with some really adult interlaced humor in there. It was good. I would definitely watch that though.
I'm just saying, live action Thundercats. Yes. That's where he has me. Oh man, I want that.
Snarf.
Yes. Oh gosh. Sword of Omens. Give me sight beyond sight. Thunder. Thundercats. Ho! Anyway.
Now you can go ahead, keep going. Got all night.
Caleb Albers then appends his comment, says, wait, I lied. They need to redeem that atrocity that's the Underdog movie.
Yeah.
I think I blocked that out. I don't even think I saw it. I think I was just like, no.
Oh, I saw it. You wouldn't movie pass it. You wouldn't go to somebody else's movie pass it.
That bad, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Bruce Hudson says the correct answer is Firefly.
Yeah.
Amen. Firefly in a heartbeat. And I know Nathan Fillion would do it. I mean...
Oh, yes.
He would do it in a heartbeat. I mean, the man takes any opportunity in any TV show or movie he's in to try to get a Firefly reference in. I love it.
Did he have a reference in Santa Clarita Diet, I wonder?
Oh, I don't know.
I watched that show, loved it, but I did not catch any Firefly references.
So you haven't seen Community yet, have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so there's a spot. He's not in Community, but there's a spot where Donald Glover is, and we were talking about Donald Glover being Lando and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But basically, there's a moment where they were talking about like bringing stuff back, and they basically make reference to Firefly. He's like, we got you, buddy. We're gonna bring you back, and made this like little thing. And so I think Firefly's got to be like the universal answer. I'm just saying. Jumping over to Twitter. Paul Calico at pcalico84 says, TV show to bring back, well, that's kind of hard nowadays with everything coming back. Maybe Andromeda was like a Star Trek style show. It says cartoons, Biker Mice from Mars, Exo Squad, and let's bring back Ernest P. Worrell movies back, please.
Oh, why?
It says keep up the good work, else time, Paul Calico. I mean, really, do you want to bring back the Ernest movies? I remember loving Ernest Goes to Camp, but I think it's
Ernest
also because...
watches Netflix and chills.
Right. No, I remember loving Ernest Goes to Camp, but I think I was also maybe like 10 when that movie came out, and so, eggs erroneous. Like, it just like hit me at that like moment of where I thought that movie was funny and really good.
Yeah, perfect silliness.
Yeah, he sticks his finger in the end of a rifle to not get shot, and he says rock, paper, scissors, and that like was like cool. I'm sure if I go back and watch it now, I would look at my younger self and want to kick the crap out of my younger self for thinking that was cool.
I don't know. You may still like it. You should watch one of them and report back next week.
Although parachuting,
but you
snapping
should.
Turtles with the song, so happy together, and they're all coming down and raining on the construction workers. I do remember that scene quite well. Just saying.
Wow, you're pulling out your nerd card all over the place today.
Dude, I loved that movie as a kid. I don't know why, but I did. Anyway, thank you so much, Super Friends, for taking the time to answer our question of the week. It's always interesting to see what you think should come back versus like what we were saying, what we think should come back. Which, by the way, we did do a checkup on that Battlestar Galactica reference that you so got my hopes up in it. I don't know that it's necessarily coming back, that it looks like maybe it's in talks, but nothing
there's been
concrete.
Funding. I don't know. I've seen some things where it was further along, seen some things that it's pulled back. But I was pretty sure for a reason, I can't find what that reason was, but that was kind of a done deal. That there were signatures that were on paper for that. So,
well, we need it to happen. So say we all.
So say we all.
Stu, what can our super friends do to help us out this week?
Provide chocolate.
Check.
They can roll a natural 20.
Check.
And they can also find us on iTunes and give us a great big fat 5-star review. Tell us some nice things if you like, but giving us that 5-star review on iTunes helps their algorithm to kind of float us up higher on the popularity list and get some more attention to the show. And it just really gives us a great big warm fuzzy.
Yeah.
I like warm fuzzies.
Good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. Yeah, we appreciate all the super friends that have already reviewed and the ones that will yet review the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I've only created like 30 different Apple accounts to do that, so I'm
behind. I did like 25. Man, I got to pick it up. Well, good. So
awkward.
So Stu, we missed the boat a little bit last week. We had a chance prior to Mother's Day to talk about mothers and pop culture and nerd culture. But being that was yesterday, we're going to do it anyway.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of fresh on our minds. It makes a lot of sense. I know that we have a couple day delay before it comes out, so it'll be almost a week after since, and our super friends may wonder, why the heck are you talking about that? But we love the mothers.
All of your mothers. I mean, mothers.
Okay, well, the show just went in that direction.
Cricket, awkward. So I have this idea. We thought we'd talk about maybe some of our favorite mothers from nerd and pop culture, and we could also talk about maybe some of the reasons why mothers are important in nerd and pop culture.
Well, because we wouldn't exist without them.
Right, exactly. Or for nerd and pop culture. So I've written down a couple mothers that I think are important or that I've found important. So I got this idea. I'm going to give you a clue or two, and I'll see if you can take a guess about the mother or mother figure I'm talking about. And then we can talk about a few of these, and then we can just talk about some other stuff in general. How's that sound?
Is this becoming a game show? I've always wanted to be on a game show.
Welcome to Who's Your Mother?
Your mom.
Okay, so the first one I have.
Okay, I'm ready.
She is not the main character's natural-born mother.
Oh.
She takes the main character under her wing and shows him a lot of love and provides the main character with a somewhat sense of family and eventually becomes his mother-in-law. That's my clue.
Mother-in-law. What the heck? You got me on that. I've got no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so this character is Molly Weasley from the Harry Potter series. And I thought it was really interesting because...
Wow. I bombed that.
That's fine. I mean, I didn't want to be like, she's a redhead.
Yeah,
and
see,
she's
then
got
that would have
7
been...
kids, The interesting thing about Molly Weasley, which, the first time she appears in the books and in the movies, I've read and seen both, she basically like...
You've read the movie?
Yeah, I've read the movie and I've seen the book. How's that, huh? Sorry. I'm all over the place. Smart ass.
Smart A.
Oh, sorry. Smart A. My bad. No, but she's a great mother because she's got all these kids of her own, right? Mm-hmm. But she sees this boy who she understands like almost immediately is not getting love at home, was taken in by his aunt and uncle, and is, she can tell that he's just not receiving love and care and affection like a boy his age should. And so right from the very beginning, she shows him kindness and tenderness. And then as Harry becomes best friends with Ron, like she makes him Christmas gifts. They always invite him to come to his place. Harry goes and spends part of the summer there every summer. And then, as the series progresses, like she cares about him just as much as she cares about her own children. And what I really liked about this, about her character, is that she shows us that you can always have love in your heart for someone, whether or not they're your natural born child or not. And I think she's just a great mother on film and in the book. Like she's just a very strong character, very loving, and also fierce. Like she's willing to protect her brood, and that includes Harry, even though he's not naturally born to her. So
and don't you? I knew a couple people like that, and I think most people know someone like that, where you've got the one kid or whatever that just doesn't have a great home life or something, but someone else kind of takes him in, and you've got the best friend for life kind of thing, and they're invited to all the family stuff, and they're a part of the family, and that's. So yeah, to kind of relate to that aspect of that was pretty heartwarming.
Yeah. I love Molly Weasley. Not maybe the most traditional thinking mom per se, because she's not the mom of like the main character, but she is by extension really like his mom surrogate. So. Oh, Molly Weasley gets a little love here on the Fortress of Nerditude. Okay, so here's the next
that properly there? I don't know. Okay, go for it.
Yeah, sure. Okay, this one's gonna be harder to drop clues. Okay, oh man, how do I do this? She raises her son by herself. She teaches her son everything he needs to know to be a great military leader. She's super bad and she could probably beat up anyone. And she had a romantic rendezvous with a time traveler.
Sarah Connor.
Definitely Sarah Connor. I was like, I don't know how you like drop clues with that. So, of course, one of my favorite movies of all time is the original Terminator movie. 1984, James Cameron. Sarah Connor in the first film is, she's a waitress. She's not hard. She's not hardened by the world that's to come. She doesn't know the future yet, but her soon-to-be consummated son sends back his own father from the future to protect his mother, which in turn, gets his mom pregnant, which gives birth to him. So it's kind of this whole,
I'm really surprised there was never a Back to the Future and Terminator crossover.
That would be crazy. Right? You find out that Marty McFly actually got Lorraine pregnant, and he's his own father. Yeah.
I'm my own grandpa.
The cool thing about Sarah Connor, right, is that you see that she becomes hard by necessity. Especially when you see her in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. She now knows and has this strong belief of what's to come in the future, and so she's taking every opportunity to raise her son and train him and teach him to basically be the leader of the human resistance in the future. And she knows that if she fails, all of humanity fails. And what's more bad motherly than knowing my responsibility is to raise the leader of the human resistance, otherwise all humanity fails. I love that.
Well, I sort of feel really unimportant now.
Sorry.
Am I training my child to lead the resistance? No. I'm training my child to watch Star Wars movies with me.
Hey, that could be the thing that saves us all, Stu.
She'll learn to use the Force.
That, or she'll learn that, in every single plan there's a defect, and you have to find that defect in order to save humanity.
And sometimes the reason for that defect won't be revealed till 30 years later.
That's right. It was actually planted there by a contractor who was disgruntled.
Oh, there's one of those alternate movie descriptions.
That's right. A disgruntled contractor leaves a flaw in the plan, setting up an epic battle. Okay.
That never happens in real life.
No. Okay. A working mom.
Oh.
A very open, loving relationship, free of judgment.
Roseanne? Sorry, no, that's a lot of
she provides her son with many opportunities to learn from different people and things.
Different people and things? I'm going to have to go 1 for 3. I got no idea.
Okay.
Not until you say it, and then I'll be like, duh.
Dr. Beverly Crusher from Star Trek Next Generation.
Okay, wow. I've got to broaden my thinking here beyond just... No, good one.
So Dr. Crusher, right? I mean, she's a career, doctor. She's in Starfleet. She takes her son Wesley all over the universe, basically. I mean, the quadrant they're in, I guess, not the entire universe.
She didn't take him across the universe, but he went there anyway with the Traveler.
Yeah, that's true. He does at some point in the future. But the cool thing is, she gives him an opportunity to learn, and I wouldn't say gives him free reign, but she gives him plenty of opportunities to excel and to grow. And I think that's a good trait that mothers can have, and especially you see in some of the sci-fi nerd pop culture stuff that you'll see mothers that encourage their children to learn from those around them or learn from opportunities they're presented. And I never ever saw her get really that angry at Wesley in the show. Occasionally she'd be maybe a little flabbergasted by something he did, but she never I don't know, she never yelled at the kid. It was always well, let's have a talk about this. Tell me what's going on. Let's get down to it. I thought that was kind of cool.
Well, it was feel-good Star Trek. I mean, there were a couple times where I wanted to give him a phaser stun to the forehead just to shut him up in the first couple seasons.
Oh, I wanted to see Picard backslap him a few times, just the back of his hand. Shut up, Wesley!
Yep, that would have been something. He needed it. All right. Okay. 1 for 3. All right.
1 for 3. Okay, here's my next one.
But I didn't fail Sarah Connor. That would have meant I would have had to give up the show.
I really was trying to hide the Beverly Crusher one because I was like, if I said she's a doctor, Okay, so this is a mother who's struggling to raise 2 boys. She lives in a trailer park. Maybe she doesn't live in a trailer park.
Oh, great.
But no. I mean, no, she doesn't live in a trailer park, but you could say she's kind of trailer trashy, maybe a little bit. When tragedy strikes, she's the first one to kind of key in on what's really going on. Despite everything that's going on, her motherly instinct kicks in, and she is able to kind of confront the adversity head on and help kind of lead the group.
I don't remember her name, but it's the mom from Stranger Things.
Yes, Joyce Byers from Stranger Things. So the thing that I really liked about her, because I think really easily her character could have been like very shallow. Like her character could have been written very shallow, and she could have been a throwaway character almost.
Well, and there's an inherent danger of that because she's designed to be that way as a character. So, like in the show, she's easily dismissible, and because she's a little bit out there. So for audiences to take that same reaction would have been pretty easy to do, or the writers, and for sure.
Right. But instead, though, like even though she kind of flirts with that kind of crazy line a little bit, like she's the one that really kind of figures out like where Will is.
Where's my son?
Yeah, figures out like how to communicate with him with the Christmas lights, and she has this belief, and it's kind of like that mother's intuition, right? Like I can't tell you how many times like I heard my mom growing up say things like a mother just knows, and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. That makes no like logically that doesn't. But then again, all of a sudden you hear these stories of these moms like Joyce Byers that are like, no, I know where my son is. He's here. And you're like, how do you know? Like, how did you figure out the Christmas lights and that a lamp blinking was your son talking to you? That sounds crazy. However, she was right, and also she she just confronts like the adversity head on, right? She like doesn't shy away from it. Like it's her children, so she's going to get into it no matter what.
Sure. And so part of what you're alluding to there that I love is I'm what I do best with my career is communicate. And when you're raising children, or when you have a spouse that you're with for many, 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 many years, and actually probably even more so children, because you're helping to shape it, you have this nuance. It's not the words you say. It's not the actions they take. It's not anything overt that anyone outside of your family would ever pick up on sometimes. But you have this growth where you've grown with someone, and you have all those cues, and they're going to know the Christmas lights because you know how they think, and you know how they think about things and the processes that they're familiar with. And so the parental instinct, if you will, there's a lot behind that. But yeah, it's easily discountable if you're not in that position. And I think they really did a good job of developing her in that way. At first, I'll admit, I was a little annoyed by her. She's not the Winona Ryder that I went about much earlier.
Many years ago,
yeah, sure. But no, I did grow to love her through season 2 mostly, and I think they did a good job.
Yeah,
she's definitely a mama to be proud of.
I really liked her. Okay, this last one,
I'm not going to get, am I?
She's a hot aunt that takes in her nephew.
Hot aunt.
Oh, come on.
I'm telling you, man.
Okay. Or another movie, she was portrayed as an older aunt that took in her nephew.
Was there another movie where she was a hot aunt that took in her nephew?
There's been 2 recently.
Aunt May?
Aunt May.
Aunt May.
Good old Marissa Tomei recently.
That one.
Yes. The other one.
Tony Stark on that
one. The cool thing about kind of the Aunt May stories. It's kind of similar to the Molly Weasley mother character, is that she takes in her nephew, she loves him, she supports him, and even though like all the stuff that kind of goes on with her losing her husband, Uncle Ben, and whether or not Peter is actually responsible for that or not responsible or some way involved in that, depending on the current run of the comic or the movie you're watching. Mm-hmm. Like she supports him no matter what, even if she knows that like something's kind of not right. Maybe there's something going on. She suspects a little bit of something, but not quite sure. Like she still supports Peter. She still like wants him to do the best he can, give him opportunities like some of these other mothers we've talked about. I really like Aunt May.
I am, interestingly enough, so the Homecoming version of Aunt May, I really, really like. Yeah. And because we've seen through comics and movies the downtrodden, super supportive, always in there, will always do best by Peter, but she loses her husband and she kind of gets defeated, and then maybe she's trying to be the wise aunt and all that. But just with Homecoming, they made her alive, a little bit younger, a little bit more adult, a little bit of edge, but none of those other motherly traits in that were lost.
Right. Yep.
So
yeah, I really liked it. I looked at some others that I thought like Ellen Ripley from Alien, and specifically Aliens, when she's got that little girl Newt. What
about the xenomorph itself?
I mean,
that is a protective mother.
It is a protective mother. Yeah. So there's lots of different. I think there's lots of different characters. I mean, you could find interesting characters. I mean, you could go to like the Martha, right?
Oh, no. I was just about to say that's the one you got to leave off
Martha!
That
list. But, like Martha Kent, right? I mean, once again, like, she finds a freaking baby in a cornfield and takes the thing in. I mean...
I would have cooked it.
I mean, it's an option. Of course, I don't think that would have happened. I don't think he would have cooked. But, like, she
would have got his powers earlier.
Yeah. I mean, she's not able to have kids of her own. A comet, a meteorite hits the Earth. She finds a baby in it. They take it home. They find out that the baby's super strong and actually an alien from another planet. I mean, still raises it, like it's her own. I mean, just there's plenty of mothers out there. But, I thought I'd play this little game, see if I could get, some clues and see if you could guess.
No, it was fun.
But so let me ask you this: why do you think in movies, in cartoons, in books, in video games, why do you think we always seem to get because it feels like to me, we get a few stereotypes of mothers and that's kind of it. Like it seems like it's the adoptive mother or the person filling in for the mother role. And then of course, like if you go to like the Disney movies, like every mother ever is pretty much killed off. Which I mean, I think goes to speak more to kind of Walt Disney's upbringing.
Maybe.
But why do you think we get like this kind of trope so frequently in pop culture and nerd culture?
Because it's a necessity that you have a mother. Anyone who, I mean, obviously, biologically speaking, we all have moms. We came from somewhere. So when you define a main character, and you're defining all those attributes that surround that main character, one of those things that is almost always ticked off is a mom. But if you don't really care to dive any further into that as a writer or storyteller, you kind of just leave it kind of hanging out there. It's like the color of shirt that the person's wearing. It's not a main feature. The mom is sitting there in the background and they're going to interact, but it's nothing maybe that is worth developing for that particular storyteller. But I think the important thing there is to note that when you have a mother that's noteworthy, and it doesn't even have to be that the mother is the main character, but even, Spider-Man, you have a motherly figure there that's well fleshed out. And in the last one, you know what I'm saying? Wow. Old guys on podcast. But it makes it, it makes him better because it's a backdrop for all the interactions in his life and kind of a sounding board for those things to kind of act maybe even as the audience in kind of checking Spider-Man or whatever character it is on, why are you doing that? You know, if I were your parent, I would do this. And it kind of gives you a way to relate to the main character other than just through viewing only what they're doing. I think there's some really interesting story development potential for mothers. I don't think it always needs to have a place. Maybe you don't need to define the mother other than she's there in the background. She's got that one line at the beginning of the Pokemon game or whatever, but I like the way that families can be handled, moms in particular. Yeah, it's good. I think the reason that I identify with that, and I know we talked a little bit about this, but moms are an important part of nerd culture in general.
Right.
Like, it's not just what they view, but moms, it seems to me most of the people I know, the nerds that I knew growing up, the moms were the one that were protective of our interests, that supported our interests when nobody else maybe even would, letting you know that it's kind of okay to be you, but helping you to find a way to protect yourself. And just that nurturing side of allowing that part of you to grow when it was kind of dangerous in some ways, even if only socially so. So I have a lot of respect for moms that nurtured that part of.
Yeah. I think you hit on it. I think you're hitting on it right there because, like, I'll go back to Martha Kent for a second, right? She like encourages Clark to explore things and try to find out like what he can do, and like talks to him about like, you're different than the other boys, and you know we love your differences, but other people may not understand. So like she's trying to be protective, and she's trying to help like encourage him, but at the same time like try to like not let him be like socially ostracized or do something that would put him in a bad situation. And I think that would probably apply to like a lot of our mothers. I mean, like you were kind of saying that mothers will help, try to shelter their children, but also encourage them to be themselves and to, do things that they find interesting. I know that that's kind of particularly true for me, but I also like had a dad that was very understanding. I mean, I think I told you that my dad took me to go see Star Trek Generations and, wanted to get pictures of the Klingons, but
I know that for you, buddy.
Right. But I know that like when Christmas came around and I said I wanted a Next Generation Data t-shirt, I know my mom was the one that went out and went to a mall and found that.
Right.
It wasn't my dad. My mom did that. And like, she probably knew that like junior high probably wasn't like the best place to be doing that. I mean, because that's just kind of a weird time period in your life anyway. And kids become unfortunately, really judgy, and everything becomes, hyper social, I guess. But that's what I wanted.
Climb the totem pole, and nerds are easy to step on.
Right. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to do. That's what, whatever. So like my mom did that for me.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that's definitely a big part of it, is kind of helping foster the nerdiness while at the same time trying to protect maybe.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's funny because fortunately now it's a little more out there. It's, nerdiness is popular. Conventions, Comic-Cons. Are we going to get sued if I say Comic-Con?
No, I think we're okay.
Okay. As long as I don't say it with a hyphen? Is that how that works? Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
No, I mean, being a nerd is popular, and I mean, MCU is everywhere. If you don't like MCU now, you're probably going to be ostracized. So, fortunately, that sheltering, I don't think, has to be a component of it. But all of us as adults are a component of that, and I think the moms of today are both kind of growing up around their male counterparts who are able to enjoy it freely. So while being a nerd as a kid, that was really kind of a male problem, because if you were a female nerd, nobody was even going to think twice about, who the heck are you?
Right.
So that's kind of like the next generation, is being a female nerd. And so because that's coming up more, and because that's more open, and moms are able to kind of support that. I know my younger daughter's mom, they had the comic book store day or whatever that was, like a week ago. She took my daughter out to the comic book stores, got a whole bunch of the free comics, actually bought her a couple extra comics. she's been like really supportive of it's not necessarily a genderless upbringing. She's definitely into dolls and she's into Barbies and she loves pink. She's definitely a girly girl, but liking Star Wars and liking Legos
But she also wants to read Spawn. I mean,
no. no. It's it's Ghost in the Shell. Anyway.
Gotcha.
No, but she's openly able to be who she is. And it's not even a matter of this is a boy thing, this is a girl thing. She loves dolls, right. She loves Star Trek, she loves Spider-Man. And she does all those things freely and openly, but her mom is definitely right there beside her. And she's watched all of the MCU movies with her, except Infinity War. Still not sure if that's going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, so I love that her mom has been able to do that. I've obviously been right there with her, but she identifies with her mom more. So
right. See, I was really lucky when I married Brita for many reasons. Many reasons. Which I don't have enough time to state all right now.
Oh, no, I think you should. Go for it. I think if you don't, you're in trouble.
One of the things though that I loved about Brita is that she was really into kind of the nerdy stuff. Like I remember one of our first dates, if you want to call it a date. She probably would say it's not a date. I'd probably say it was a date. Was we went and saw The Dark Knight. And, going to see a Batman movie, like,
that's kind of nerdy.
I mean, it is. I mean, it wasn't, 1989's Batman. I mean, that would have been real nerdy back then because, society's been shifting. But she likes the Star Wars movies and the Star Trek movies. And, she watches all the MCU stuff and really enjoys it. And so, like, if I say, like, hey, I really want to get the boys, a Spider-Man shirt. Like, there's no pushback. Matter of fact, like, she finds a lot of the stuff and says, ooh, look, Jackson wants some Spider-Man stuff, or, Charlie wanted a Hulk shirt, or da-da-da, and, like, she'll find all this stuff and, like, come show it to me. And so I know that my kids like Star Wars, and they like, the Avengers and the MCU stuff. I mean, they're little boys, so it's kind of in their wheelhouse right now anyway. But, like, she fully supports that and doesn't discourage. She encourages, and if they want to, if their thing is Thomas the Train, she's down with that. She'll like find that up. But if it's if they want to get into Doctor Who, oh my gosh, Brita got me into Doctor Who. She would be super supportive.
Yeah, I don't know how or why, but I've just really never really enjoyed Doctor Who.
Oh, you gotta talk to Brita. She'll talk you into it. I promise she will.
No, I like having.
I was against it.
I don't want to give up 100 hours of my life to catch up on everything.
You say that now, but it's only 1 hour a day for 100 days. That's not that bad.
That's actually what I've been doing with American Horror Story. So,
see,
whatever.
There you go.
No, Brita seems like cool people, and I love that she actually takes part in this endeavor with you as well with the movie club stuff. So
yeah. It's It's nice to be surrounded by strong women. It's nice to be surrounded by women who can, encourage our children or just children in general, mothers that have, kind of helped. I mean, let's be honest, like, 20, 30 years ago, being a nerd and being into like nerd culture stuff was a lot harder then than it is today.
Yes.
And we had like mothers that still fostered that and like, wanted to do that. So
that's like I was in, it's weird to think that it was 20 years ago, but 20 years ago I was in the Army, and that was a very difficult place to be a nerd because you're out in the field. You pick up a comic book and you're gonna end up with sock party in the middle of the night or something.
I'll say a blanket party.
Yeah, I mean it's just you don't do nerd things. You do guy stuff. You hua. You want to break something or shoot something or blow up something. And I liked all those things, but that wasn't really who I was. I was a smart soldier. I was a good soldier, I think. I cared about doing the best I could, but I loved nerd stuff, and that was still something that I had to kind of sequester to survive in that environment. Yeah.
So let's kind of wrap this up. This kind of, where we love we love mothers, obviously, and the mothers that have supported us and are supporting our children and all nerds everywhere.
Happy day, you mothers.
Yeah, but I think I think, Stu, you came up with a really kind of good question of the week, because not everyone has, everyone has a mother, but maybe some people don't know their mother, or some people maybe don't have a great relationship with their mother, or maybe just their mother wasn't there for them in the way that they would have liked. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're a nerd, you're a geek, you're into pop culture, whatever, we want to know who supported you in your nerdy pursuits.
Who was your Aunt May?
Yes. Who is your hot Aunt May?
And do we get to for her? And what did they do? Like, how was it they supported you? Because there's many different ways to be supportive, right?
Yeah. So that's what we want to hear. We want to hear your story. Who is your, who supported you in your nerdy pursuits, and how did they do that? So, you can leave us the answers. The email is fortofnerd@gmail.com. You can get us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/fortofnerd, Twitter @fortofnerd, or you can call us and leave a message, 801-477-7687.
That is not the number to the pizza delivery hotline.
Ooh, pizza sounds so good right now.
Right?
Seriously. I bet you if my mom were here right now, she'd support me by going and getting a pizza.
If my mom were here right now,
she'd be like, go get your own pizza. You're an adult.
No, my mom would go get the pizza, have me pay for it, and then just take off with the pizza. Then we'd have a whole nother 1994 all over again.
Seriously. Seriously.
No idea. Anyway, no, yeah. So yeah, good question. I definitely believe in Mother's Day. For a little while, I was a single parent, doing both the mother and father stuff, and I'm really grateful that I don't have to do that these days. So,
yeah. So, anyway, to all the mothers out there, wherever you may be, thank you so much for your support of our pursuits, and for everything that you do. And from all of us here at the Fortress of Nerditude, may the Force be with you. Always.